Welcome back to another episode of Cooking with Andy. Today we're going to be making a beef and mushroom Madras curry. The ingredients that you're going to need for today are lemon juice, turmeric, garlic, chopped chilies, grated fresh ginger, cumin and coriander. For the rest of the ingredients you're going to need some diced beef, tomato paste, some chopped up mushrooms, some beef stock, some onions and some olive oil for cooking. The beef stock that we're using is homemade, but store-bought it will be just as good. So first things we're going to do, we're going to get the paste together. Okay, so first off we're going to make the paste. So what we need to do is just put the cumin, the coriander, the garlic, the ginger, the chili and the turmeric in a bowl, and we're just going to mix that up a little bit. And then next we're going to add the lemon juice just to combine it and make it into a paste. You can see it all coming together now. And there we have our homemade Madras curry paste. So next up we'll take it over to the cooking area and we'll put everything in a pan and bring it all together. Okay, so we get our pan nice and hot to start with. First of all, a little bit of oil. And what we're going to do, we're just going to brown our onions off. Next thing we're going to do, we're going to add the mushrooms. And just saute those off. As you can see, the onions are starting to brown up nicely now. So we'll keep that going for a bit longer. Okay, so when the onions and mushrooms are sufficiently browned off, we're just going to transfer those to a bowl. And leave those to one side for a second. In the same pan, we're just going to add some more oil, a little bit more this time. Wait for that pan to get nice and hot. Now you need your pan to be pretty hot for this, because what we're going to do next is sear the beef off, just so it gets a nice coating on it. Okay, so when your pan is at the right temperature, we're just going to add the meat. If we do it in 2 batches, because if you put too much meat in, it knocks the heat out of the pan and won't brown off as much. While that's in there, we're going to do some seasoning. Bit of salt. Bit of freshly cracked black pepper. As you can see, the meat's already starting to brown up on one side, so we'll just give that a toss around. Try and make sure every piece is sealed off. Now we've used ribeye beef for the meat in the curry. You can use chuck or a brisket, but if you use a chuck or a brisket, you'll need to cook it for a lot longer period of time, just because it'll take a lot longer for it to soften. So we're using a better cut this time, just because we don't have the time. But it's entirely up to you. If you want to leave it on, leave your sauce ticking over for a few hours, then brisket is a cheaper option, and so is chuck steak. So as you can see, that's all nicely browned off now. What we'll do, we'll just chuck that in with the mushrooms and the onions, as well as the juice, because that's where all the flavour's at. Then we'll let our pan get hot again and cook off the rest of the beef. Okay, so when the beef's all browned off, next thing we're going to need is a heavy bottom pan. And what we're going to do in that, we're just going to cook out the spice mix that we made earlier. So you need a little bit of oil. By cooking out the spice mix that we made, it's going to cook out the spices. So basically what that means is you're not going to get that grainy, gritty texture in your curry. And that's basically what this does. So if you put it into a pan, it doesn't have to be hot oil to start with. And then we're just going to cook that out for a couple of minutes. So you want to do this over a medium heat, so we're just going to turn this down a little bit. And just let that tick away nicely. Just keep stirring so all the paste gets cooked out. Okay, this should take about 5 or 6 minutes to cook out over a medium heat. You can already smell that lovely curry aroma coming out of it. If you can see it starting to stick to the bottom of the pan, it means your pan's a little bit too hot, so just knock it down a little bit further. And just keep that going for, like I said, 5 to 6 minutes. Okay, so when that's just about cooked out, we're going to add the beef, onions and mushrooms and the juice. Turn it up to a high heat. And we're just going to get all of that paste incorporated onto the beef and the mushrooms. As you can see, we're going to give that a nice coating. And just let that cook out for another 3 or 4 minutes. The same again, if it starts to seem like it's sticking to the bottom of the pan, just turn the heat down slightly. Okay, so when this is cooked out a bit, we're going to add the tomato paste. Just cook that out for another two minutes. And then we're going to add the beef stock. Like I said before, we made this in-house, but the stuff that you get in the supermarket. Obviously it's not as good as homemade stock, but will work just as well. So just pour that in, and then we're just going to bring that to the boil. Try and scrape as much as you can off the sides. Okay, so when your curry sauce is boiling, what we're going to do, we're just going to turn that down onto a low heat, and with the lid on, we're just going to let that simmer for about an hour and a half, making sure that probably every 10-15 minutes you give it a stir, just so you can check that it's not sticking on the bottom. Okay, that should be delicious when we come back to it. Okay, so after 8 to 10 minutes, the sauce should have thickened up and it should be nice and coating and coat the back of a spoon. What we'll do now, we'll just take it over and we'll show you a quick plate up. Okay, so we're just going to plate up the beef and mushroom madras now. With your rice, you can either add a little bit of chopped parsley or a little bit of chopped coriander into it. Give that a slight mix up. And we're just going to serve this with a little bit of side salad. So we're just going to put a little drizzle of olive oil on there. A little bit of salt and pepper. And just to finish it off, a nice piece of grilled roti. And there we have it, beef and mushroom madras with saffron rice, a side salad and grilled roti. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.